Don't be so quick to write off the idea of putting hobbies on your application. I know that in the application cycle, it's very important to emphasize things such as your clinical experiences, your research, and everything else. Trust me, I get it. However, these matter way more than you think, and today I want to talk about why this is the case. For starters, and this is a much smaller reason as to why to add hobbies on your application, for me personally, it made it a lot more fun and enjoyable to write my application when I knew there was that one hobby section to talk about. Let's face it, going through this application process is very tiring and it can be very tedious at times. We have to talk about things that we've been doing for a long time, and yes, there's stories behind it that make it unique and can make it fun to write about, but our hobbies, in a way, are kind of like a break from all that. It's our escape from the busy world, and it's our time to fully be ourselves and enjoy our time. This is why I think it can make it more fun to write about. It adds a sense of you into the application. And this is a point I've emphasized heavily throughout my videos. Talking about who you are is very important to the admissions committees. Perhaps on an interview day, if you and an admissions committee have a hobby in common, you can talk about that, which I think is very cool. I've talked to people before who told me that they've talked to interviewers about things such as video games, for example, and I think that is such an amazing topic to have. Especially on a medical school interview, if you know that you're able to talk to them about video games, that's how you know you built a strong connection with them and they will remember you. Also, when it comes to putting hobbies on your application, you want to be very careful and very thoughtful behind the types of hobbies that you put on there. For example, you don't just want to put something very broad like listening to music. Like, cool, I'm glad you like that, but unless there's something very specific about it to you, unless it adds to your story in some way, there's not much to go off of. It's very broad. Ultimately, the main goal behind writing about your hobbies on an application is to give the admissions committee members another thing to connect with you on. Let me give you an example about what I mean when I say that your hobbies need to add to your story in some way on your application. For me personally, I've always enjoyed the game Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I grew up playing this series as a kid, and I began competing in tournaments for the game throughout college and during my gap year. I began to really love this process as it not only helped me become a better person, but also a better competitor. It helped me understand the value of appreciating the journey rather than the end result. This is something that I had been struggling with in the past when trying to compete in certain hobbies I had. The idea of appreciating the journey more than the end result is something that I wanted to apply to the field of medicine, and I was able to talk about that greatly in certain interviews with people, and usually it led to a pretty good connection with them. Now, I understand it can be very hard to find connections between an activity you like to do and medical school. This is why I recommend journaling about your hobbies and the other aspects of your application. You'd be surprised to see how deeply you can dissect all of these. For example, whenever I initially think about something, I usually only think about the surface level aspects of it. However, journaling about it and thinking about it while I'm journaling allows me to dissect the topic even further. I'm able to reach deeper levels of understanding and find those connections. It took me a long time to build all these connections, but the amount of self-reflection and journaling that I did made all of it very possible. I hope this video was helpful for you in breaking away from the formulaic way of writing the application. I think that yes, there are certain parts of the application that require you to have a sense of formality with it, but with your hobbies, I think that you should be yourself with it. I don't think it's wrong to talk about a huge aspect of who you are. You want to find the program that's best for you, and opening up about your hobbies is a good way to do that. With that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.